Blogtalk Radio.
Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves. You and I are told increasingly we have to choose between a left or right. Well, I'd like to suggest there is no such thing as a left or right. There's only an up or down.
Talk about destruction. Don't you know that you can count me out?
This is the Rebecca Diserio Show. Hello, everybody. This is Rebecca Diserio, and this is the Rebecca Diserio Show. Thank you for joining me this evening. I've got a pretty detailed show. This is not like a show like I've ever done before. And I appreciate everyone that's joining me on the different websites that have picked us up and embedded our player. Thank you so much for carrying the Fidelis Radio Network. I see one of my old friends there in the chat room, Jennifer. Thanks for joining us. I know it's late for people out east. If you can't listen to the total broadcast, you can listen to it in archives. Again, I don't mean to be really heavy with y'all or anything like that, but sometimes we need to get heavy. And let me just get to it. My last episode, I did a expose on a talk given by Ann Barnhart. If you don't know who she is, briefly, she is a Roman Catholic. She closed down her firm. She was a cattle commodities trader. Many of you know her from her viral video where she burned the Koran and then subsequently gave out her address to anyone who wanted to come get a piece of her. That went viral. And then what happened, that happened first, okay, in the chronological events of her life. She was still working, still had her firm going at that time. Then, wouldn't you know it, as the Lord works in mysterious ways, MF Global happened. And if you want to listen to my last episode, it kind of details some things about the economy. When MF Global happened, Anne had to close up her firm because she said there was no other options, that the economy is insolvent, it's going to implode, and don't kid yourself. And again, that is, you can Google her, you can listen to her amazing talks. She's not for the faint of heart, okay? People have said she's crazy. She's crazy. Well, maybe crazy like a fox, okay? She's a tough person to listen to at some times. We're going to devote the next hour or so to a talk that she gave 2 weeks ago that totally, and this is not easy to do, people, totally blew me away because it freaked me out. I'll be honest. Freaked me out, okay? So she had to give up everything. Now, the next thing you need to know before we get right into it is that she has called for a tax strike on the Obama regime. Excuse me, they're the regime. What does this mean? She stopped paying her taxes. They then levied her accounts back at the end of October. Took out $20,000. Goodbye, gone. She is doing this. Well, you'll know why she's doing this at the end of tonight's show. Why she feels, why does this woman, this educated woman with everything going for her, why is she now not only gone John Galt, okay, but ready to be imprisoned, ready to be executed, she says, if need be. This is heavy stuff. This is happening in our country. This is not a crazy woman, you know. So here we go. And, I just read what you said. Great, Jennifer. I know it's late for you. Yeah, come back if you can't listen to the whole thing and finish the show, because I promise you this is something that it may not be pleasant, but it's something that we need to hear. Here's the beginning of her talk, so I don't really need to. She will explain to you what we're going to be discussing tonight.
The title is Freedom versus Liberty versus License. Okay? You only have one of these left, and we're going to explain why. Ladies and gentlemen, the Republic is dead. It is dead. The United States of America, under the Constitution, no longer exists. For the love of God, if you don't get this through your heads, we're all dead. If you are standing over a dead horse, beating it, thinking that it is somehow going to lead you to salvation, you are dead. And not just you are dead, your children are dead, your grandchildren are dead, your great-grandchildren are dead. God knows. I mean, you want your great-great-grandchildren, who you will never meet, who you will be long dead before they are even born. Do you want your great-great-granddaughters to live under a Marxist Islamist tyranny? Do you want your great-great-granddaughters to have their clitorises cut off at the age of 6 and then be married off to a 65-year-old pedophile? If you don't want that, if you don't want your great-great-grandchildren, who you will never meet, to live under Marxism, then you need to get this through your head right now and stop beating the dead horse of the United States of America. The first iteration is over. It's over. Man up and accept this. If you fail or refuse to acknowledge this objective reality, you are not just part of the problem, you are in cahoots with the enemy. If you're still trying to talk to me about, oh boy, in 2014, we're gonna show them, we gotta get behind the Republicans, and we gotta support our Republican candidates, and boy, we're gonna show them in 2014. Not only at this point do I think you are a clueless jackass, you are now my enemy, because you are playing along with a satanic revolution. You are complicit in it. Don't even talk to me about any of that anymore. Acknowledging the Obama putsch regime, and that's what it is. The Obama regime is a neo-Stalinist putsch that is already accomplished. It is a fait accompli. It's not in progress. It's already done. We're 4 years into it. My God, pull your head out of your ass. What do you need him to do? What do you need them to do? We have been overthrown by a neo-Stalinist putsch regime, and that is what all of us are now living under. The Republic is dead. The Constitution is no longer enforced and has no meaning. There is no rule of law. You have to understand and acknowledge this. Acknowledging the Obama putsch regime as the legitimate government is an act of explicit consent. If you acknowledge Barack Obama and the government in Washington, D.C. as legitimate at this point, you are consenting to the putsch regime. And therefore, you are the enemy of me, and you are the enemy of Christ.
Pretty harsh words. Wow, that's pretty out there. Is it? Is it? Let's take a moment here. Let's take a moment. You live in the same country I do. You guys know who John Corzine is? Remember that name? Yeah, I kind of remember that name. Yeah, John Corzine was the governor of New Jersey. He was also a senator. He was the guy that was mixed up in the MF Global financial scandal. You know how you have money in the bank? You know how you have money in the bank and you think it's safe, the FDIC and all that stuff, right? You think it's safe? Well, people had deposits in MF Global, not for trading, just custodial deposit accounts, okay, like you do at your bank. When that thing went belly up, he took all of the custodial accounts. He cleared out American citizens' accounts to pay for his mistake. $1.86 billion. He walks the streets today. Fast and Furious. Fast and Furious, anybody? Rule of Law? Benghazi. The media in this country. Election fraud. Do we live in a sovereign nation? I mean, really, if you really want to get down to it, what's going on here? What is going on here? I don't know. And I can give a whole bunch of other examples. So hold on to your seats. I'm telling you, this is going to get bumpy with this woman tonight. Here's her second clip.
Prepared as I stand here before you tonight to spend the rest of my natural life in prison, which could be upwards of 60 years. I would rather rot in prison than bend my knee to a satanic Stalinist push. And you know what? The sad thing is I'm probably alone in that. How many of you are willing to spend the rest of your life in prison? How many of you are willing to be executed right now? Right now. Thank you. There's no such thing as coercion, ladies and gentlemen. Get this through your head. There is no such thing as coercion. That is a satanic lie that the enemy, that Satan uses to convince you that you have to bend your knee to certain things in life. You have to pay taxes, and you have to pay for abortion, and you have to pay for contraception.
Right. And as she's going to outline as this goes on. Now, let me just say this personally. It is a hard decision, and after you listen to this whole program, I hope you will reflect and tuck it away in your brain somewhere, because I think maybe Ms. Barnhart is the first of a long line of people that maybe you and me at some point in this country, God forbid, I don't want that to happen. But if it's going to come down to bowing and rejecting Christ, rejecting my religion for the Islamic, Marxist regime, I can't do it. And I know you can't either, okay? She's at that point. All right? And it has to do, and she's got a great argument here, and it has to do with taxes and the abortions that we're going to be paying for Barack and his people, his minions. Okay, let's listen to her next soundbite. This will make it a little bit more clearer.
Meme of psychiatric illness. They use the meme of psychiatric illness to have an absolute carte blanche to throw anybody in prison for as long as they want. Hey, what does the internet call me? She is crazy. She is insane. She is batshit loony. Hey, it's all right if you want to be a Christian, just as long as you don't actually believe any of that shit, right? Yeah. So that's the next meme that's coming. It will be accusations of psychiatric illness. They will come after anybody who makes any stand or who exerts any degree of Orthodox Christianity. Meanwhile, Muslims are raping their children and cutting off the little girls' clitorises and having sex with uncles, with nieces, and their first cousins. That's all fine. Oh, there's nothing crazy about that. But if you go to Mass on Sunday, you're clearly insane.
If you live in this country, that the Muslims have a carte blanche kind of, don't step on their toes. Don't come on now. Don't. It's all about them. But Christians in this country, we're going to be deemed. When she talked about the new meme will be, you're crazy. You're crazy. You're going to be deemed crazy if you decide you don't want to pay your taxes because you don't want to pay for abortions. That's crazy. Is it? I mean, that's the first thing. That's the first nonviolent way to oppose a regime like this. And she's doing it, and she is probably going to go to jail. On her blog today, she is giving away her stuff. She's preparing. In fact, she had a bucket. She's only 36 years old. She had a bucket list, basically, just one thing that she wanted to do, and that was to go to Rome to see St. Peter's. And she was scared. She had cashed in, some miles on a credit card. You know how you build up, you can get a flight if you've got all these, they give you, I don't know. What's it called? They give you, you know what I'm talking about. She went there pretty much for free, okay? She could buy the plane ticket for free because they just took $20,000 of her money out of her checking account, the IRS, because she didn't file taxes on purpose. She did it on purpose, okay? But she wanted to go to Rome, and she said she said she was scared because she thought, after everything she's done, burning the Quran on YouTube and all that, she thought, well, I wonder if I'm on a no-fly list, And then when she got there, she wrote on her blog that it would have been real easy for her to not come back. Think about it, because coming back, pretty much she's consigned herself to go to prison. So let's go and listen to the next part of what she has to say, and then we'll discuss it.
For the love of God, if you don't hear anything else I say for the rest of the evening, listen to this. Elections are no longer free. They are staged theater designed to maintain the illusion of representative governance and to enrich the political class. This is despotism. If after this mess that we just went through, if you do not understand this, you're beyond hope. My God. He threw that even worse than McCain threw it. I mean, Obama, how many different angles of attack could you have just rhetorically destroyed Obama on? And what did Romney do? Nothing. Obama didn't even prepare for that first debate. Romney didn't say anything. Romney didn't say anything about Benghazi. He didn't say anything about any of it. I don't understand how it is that anybody cannot fully comprehend that that was all theater. And then you have election fraud on top of it. Here in Colorado, 10 counties had voter turnout in excess of the total adult population of the state. Not just the registered voters, the total adult populations of the county, the county. And what did Romney do? Roll over. How can you not see this? How can you not understand? Do not talk to me anymore about elections. There are no elections. There are no more free elections. Just stand over that dead horse and beat it. It is never going to get up, for the love of God.
Hard to argue with that. I think we all know that the further we get away and we're able to think about this election, the past election, there was some really, crazy things that went on, some weird scenarios that happened in a few different states. I don't know if any of you have ever been involved in an election recently. I was in 2010, and I know that one was pretty much rigged too, and that was for a congressional seat. How they do it, I don't know, but it's 2012, and they can do it. Now, I don't know if they totally stole the election. No, let me backtrack. I think they stole the election. I don't even know if they had to, though, because I think there was enough knuckleheads in this country that were voting for Obama anyways. So this is pretty bleak, right? I mean, what are we to do? Are we to turn to the Republican Party? You know what the Republican Party is saying. The GOP establishment, they don't want any Tea Party type or socially conservative folk, Christians. They don't want to hear about that. They want to go the moderate road. They want to placate the Muslims too. I don't know, but I think by the end of this tonight, you will be able to at least get some peace and some answers, as I walk you through her presentation here. Again, this was just 2 weeks ago. For those of you that are joining us late, this is Ann Barnhart 2 weeks ago. For those of you that are following her story, she's not in jail yet, but she's getting pretty close. Okay, here's the next soundbite.
Romney raised, let's call it $1 billion, which was largely invoiced and cross-invoiced to consultants. These consultants are members of the oligarch political class. These campaigns are money-making rackets. Period. Full stop. End of story. Oh, we got to give money to this person. We got to give money to that person. Are you stupid? Are you stupid? All these people are doing is running fake campaigns, taking fake polls, putting out fake data, invoicing and cross-invoicing each other to the tune of millions and millions and millions of dollars. And you know what they do? They sit back and they laugh at all of you. They laugh at you just exactly the same way that the banksters in New York laugh at all of you. Goldman Sachs calls you guys the Muppets. And, I assume that Karl Rove and that whole oligarch political class feels exactly the same way. You are a bunch of redneck hillbillies who all they see you as is as money to be bled and harvested so that they can set up their consulting firms and then invoice each other for consulting fees on these elections. My God, come on.
Okay, here's what happened, because I did look into this. There's political consultants that they hire for campaigns, for the big show campaigns, the national campaigns, okay? And what Eric Erickson over at Red State uncovered, amongst other people, amongst lesser bloggers that aren't as well known but are very thorough in their research, they all found the same thing. These consultants on the Republican side, get it, on the Republican side, didn't give a whit if Romney won or not. What did they do? They set up their firms, and they take in all that super PAC money, right? They took on all that super PAC money, and all they did was share it with their friends. Like in one instance, this one political consultant had their firm. They got their brother-in-law to set up another firm, and would get all this money and send it to the other firm, spreading the wealth around that way. I don't know if you guys remember back right before the election happened, there were big pundits like Dick Morris, Rush Limbaugh, a lot of these big pundits that were saying it was going to be a landslide for Romney. I mean, especially Dick Morris. I mean, I was following him. He came out and he was like, hey, don't worry about it. What was he basing it on? Well, this guy worked on presidential campaigns, okay? He knows his stuff. He was basing it on the polls, okay? Now, what do political consultants have to do with the polls? Well, it depends on what polls they're trying to get. It depends on if the polls are doctored. And they were. The polls were wrong. The polls were wrong that the consultants were feeding the Romney campaign. If you don't know what the polls say, you don't know where you're at in the campaign. That makes a difference between everything at the end of a campaign. Hey, should we pull out of one state to go to another state? Well, the polls say we're doing plus 10 in that state. We don't need to worry about that state. Follow what I'm saying? It's been proven that there was collusion and neglect of their jobs. They didn't care. All they cared about was getting paid. And this is what Ann is talking about. This is where the Republican Party is at. Okay? That's why we lost. We lost because they ran the consultants didn't give a shit. Okay? Excuse my French. They didn't care. So that's what happened. And so, no, it will be a long time coming before I ever listen to anybody in any party They're going to have to do a lot of, I don't know, they're going to have, they need to reboot. They need to get everybody out of there. Everybody out of there in the hierarchy. They just need to get them out of there. Okay, let's go to her next clip now.
Call for the bread and circuses again. You will be morally responsible for enabling the satanic revolution and will deserve every bit of the hell that rains down on you. I'm sorry, but there comes a certain point where you have got to pull your head out of your ass and deal with reality. You cannot just keep going on with this over and over and over again, saying, well, if I just give somebody some money and I put some signs in my yard, I'm enough. No, you're not doing enough. You're not doing enough at all, not even close. In fact, if you're participating in this, you're part of the problem. There is no more liberty. Either you cooperate with the tyrannical, despotic oligarchy, or you will lose all of your property and eventually be imprisoned. That right there tells you there is no more liberty. Either you go along with the satanic state or you lose everything. What liberty? What liberty do you have? The land of the free and the home of the brave? Give me a break. You have no liberty. And where are all the brave people? I don't know. Here's what freedom is. This is the definition of freedom, and this is all you have left, whether you acknowledge it or not. Freedom is the inability to be coerced into turning your back on God.
She's right. That's all we've got left. They cannot make us turn our back on God. If you do think about it, what does the Obama regime stand for? What have they done since they've been in office? It's very obvious. What have they done with the abortion thing? Who have they attacked with that? What one church did they decide to go for? They didn't go for every Christian church. They went for the main Catholic church because they knew if they could get the Catholics to capitulate on that, if they could get us to pay for abortions and contraception, we've lost our souls. That means I'm not free. That means if you're a Christian, you're not free anymore. You don't have a choice. You will pay for abortions. There will be a surcharge when Obamacare begins. You know, we don't have a. We're not any of the oligarchs that can opt out of this Obamacare thing, right? No, we can't. They said we can't. And there's going to be a surcharge, a $1 surcharge for abortions. Doesn't matter if you're 65, 95. Doesn't matter if you're not having babies or not. Every American will have to pay for it. Are you going to pay it? Are you going to pay for that? This is serious stuff. This is serious stuff if you're a Christian. Is it not? Oh, but don't mess with the Muslims. I mean, seriously, it's so obvious. They're not hiding any of this anymore. This is all out in the open, ladies and gentlemen. It's all out in the open. If we don't have free elections, which it seems like there's all evidence that we do not, if they're mandating the Catholic Church to pay for abortions and contraception, which they are, where's the liberty? Where's the freedom? Is this America? No, it's not anymore. It's not. So, yeah, do I want to hear this stuff? No, I don't. Do I want to face this stuff? No, I don't. Am I completely powerless? No, I'm not completely powerless. They cannot make me turn my back on my God. They cannot make me turn my back on my fellow American citizens that want to stand with me. I do not know how all of this is going to develop, but, I think it's going to develop, and I think we're all going to have to choose. Are you going to put your boots on? Are you going to arm up? Because I don't know. I'm thinking it's going to go towards that. I know it sounds crazy, but isn't what they've done crazy? Fast and Furious, Benghazi, John Corzine, how the media is, the fraud in the elections. Can it be any more crazy? If anyone would have told you 10 years ago this scenario, if anyone would have told you 10 years ago that you would have to pay for abortions in the United States of America, would you believe it? If anyone would have told you right after 9/11 that we would be kissing the ass of the Muslims, would you have believed it? No, you wouldn't have believed it. But it is our reality here. At the end of 2012, oh my God, I guess the world didn't end, by the way. I hear they postponed that date, some of those crazies. Let's go on, because she's going to even get a little bit hotter, a little bit more amped up as she goes on here.
You're so stupid. You haven't even read the Bible. Jesus said, "Render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's." What's the rest of the verse, cha-cha? Render unto God that which is God's. Do you understand when he said, "Render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's"? He was saying it in an almost smirky sense. Yeah, render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's. What is Caesar owed? Is Caesar owed the blood of our unborn children? That's what Caesar demands. Do you understand that Obamacare will directly fund over 2 million abortions per year? Is Caesar owed the blood of our children? Do you understand that Obamacare insists that if an 18-year-old girl who is in college walks into her college's health center and demands to be permanently surgically sterilized, that has to be done, and it has to be done at no cost to her? Zero copay, permanent sterilization. Is Caesar owed the fertility of your children and your grandchildren? And that's sterilization. What about contraception? It's exactly the same thing. If a girl wants the pill or anything else, she has to be given it with zero copay at your expense, which is a mortal sin. Is owed our fertility? Is he owed the lives of our children? Is Caesar owed our souls? That's what the stakes are right now, and nothing less.
Pretty much is it. Why she was getting so upset about that is there are certain Christians that go to the what does she call it? The rock band type atmosphere, where your pastor's wearing jeans and all that, and you're being told that you're supposed to render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Well, yeah, but that's not how that verse goes. That's not how that verse goes. And clearly, you don't render something to Caesar that is causing you to be in mortal sin. If I'm going to pay for someone's abortion, that means I might as well just go and have it myself. I'm complicit before God. Do you understand? We are all going to be complicit before God. It's not going to be enough to tell God that you didn't want to go to jail or you wanted to keep your crap, but come on now, you're not for abortion, so you know what, just give me a pass, God. No. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is where we're all going, us patriots are going to have to decide, where is the line? Where is the line? If they can get us to do that, what's next? What's next? Islam for everybody? Maybe. Just saying. It reminds me of one, and I usually don't do my shows are usually very politically based, but I listen to her, and this is where politics does meet faith. And it just calls to mind that quote, Matthew 16, "For he that will save his life shall lose it, and he that shall lose his life for my sake shall find it." It's not Caesar's. It's not Obama's. I have a choice. You have a choice, okay? I'm not saying we all have to make that decision when that decision comes down. When we all get that bill, if that comes to pass, and we all look down and we see that surcharge, And we are going to send our money in or not. That is going to be one hell of a Waterloo for a lot of us. I know I can't do it. I won't be able to do it. So maybe I'm going to jail. I don't know. I don't know. Bring it on. Bring it on. If that's what it's going to be, bring it on. I'm sure I won't be the only one. I mean, Anne's going to jail within weeks, probably, it looks like. Go read her blog. She's getting real close. Here's her next soundbite.
The Republican Party is now openly driving for capitulation on social issues such as abortion and sodomite marriage in the name of moderation and pragmatism. Have you been reading this since the election? Oh, this social platform. We just have to throw in the towel on all of that. We got to win elections. We got to win elections, and we're never going to win elections if we're talking about abortion. We're talking about gay marriage. We just have to throw in the towel on all of that, and then kind of moderate, and then we can win elections, and everything will be fine. Really? More mortal sin is going to fix this? Really?
Yeah, when she put it that way, it was like, to me, I mean, I was enraged after the election when they decided that they wanted to blame it on the conservatives, why they lost the election. A lot of the moderate Republicans, they just can't stand us. You see this whole, kabuki theater that's happening over the fiscal cliff. Ladies and gentlemen, the stuff they're talking about with the fiscal cliff is gibberish. All of you that are adults that have budgets, you understand budgets, don't you? You understand you take in a certain amount of money a month, and you have to have a certain amount of money a month to meet your bills. And if you don't meet your bills, you're in the red. And if you do that month after month after month, they come and start taking your crap away from you. Well, let me just tell you what's going on. You got that, right? You're an adult. You get that. You get paying bills, don't you? You get it. What they're talking about with this fiscal cliff is nothing. They're not talking about the problem. They're talking about, are they going to make some really, really rich people put in some more tax money that isn't going to do a goddamn thing? It's like this, okay? Like your household budget. Let's just say that you are in the hole $5,000 next month. You are short $5,000. And you want to know what they're talking about, how they're going to fix it? They want to know if they can get, like, your 10-year-old to go sell some See's candy, maybe, and he'll make $20, and that'll fix it. Now, I said on my last show, I turned the TV off on this fiscal cliff thing. I will no longer listen to nonsense. It's crap. And they're feeding it to you. They must laugh. They must laugh behind the scenes. Oh, did you get that? Well, what Boehner said? And then Obama said, I'm not doing that. And then Boehner said, you know what, we're trying. We said that, okay, we're going to make some of the rich people pay more taxes. Give me a break. None of what they're talking about is going to do nothing. It's like your 10-year-old selling some See's candies for you when you've got $5,000 in the hole. You get it? I know you get it. Aren't you mad? Aren't you just tired of being lied to and being played the fool in this country? God, for Christ's sake. All right. Let's get back to this woman who is going to go to jail soon. Yes, I believe that she is. Here is her next soundbite. So sit down and strap in, because if I remember, this one's pretty heavy.
The teaching of the church, not super fun rock band church, the Church of Rome. If you'll just bother to read what the church teaches, this is how this scripture is interpreted. Number one, the Obama Putsch regime is a terror to men who do good works. Is that not a true statement? If you do good works, they are a terror unto you. Have you seen in New York City, Michael Bloomberg is now going after people in New York City who try to provide food for the homeless. You have to go through the city government to provide any food for the homeless, and if you do, they'll come and they'll shut you down. And that's a mild example, okay? So let's back up. It's right here. For princes are not a terror to the good work, but to the evil. So therefore, if a prince is a terror to people who are doing good work, he's not listed. It's not a listed government. Do you see that? Okay, next one. The Obama-Putsch regime is a minister to Satan for evil, establishing a cult of child sacrifice, forcing people to accept the fake sodomite marriage paradigm, and on, not to mention all the economic lies, on and on and on. Okay, that one is right here. For he is God's minister to thee for good. If the prince is a minister for evil, he's not listed. You do not owe him your subjugation. Finally, number 3, the Obama-Putsch regime violates reason and the well-formed conscience. Wherefore, be subject of the necessity, not only for wrath, not only because you fear the state, but also for conscience sake. Be subject to the state, not just because you fear it, because it's also a force for good. Is this state a force for good? Is it in alignment with a well-formed conscience? No, it is completely opposite to a well-formed conscience. It is opposite to reason. If you go and watch the economic presentation, I get into these impossible mathematical paradigms that they've painted us into. This is all mathematically impossible. None of it is aligned with a well-formed conscience or with reason. Therefore, the state is illicit. You are not subject to it. Paul put this in here, 3 criteria that you can look at right there in front of you. Is this state licit? This state is not licit, according to Romans 13, which is the Word of God. The Obama-Putsch regime, therefore, has zero authority, legitimacy, or protection, and not only should not be tolerated, should be fought against and destroyed in the name of God. In the name of God.
What she was going over there was, the people say, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Romans 13. And she was going through it, and she was proving that that verse has to do with princes, those in power that are good. If they're not good, they're not licit. They're not legal governments under God. Therefore, you do not have to capitulate to them. You do not have to bow your knee to them. And if you don't want to pay taxes, you don't have to. God's not a sin. Okay? Are you going to go to jail like she is? Yes. Yes, you'll go to jail. Now, I know that I've heard amongst my Roman Catholic friends that when they do, if it happens, that we get this bill, and on that bill, which they say is coming down, there is the $1 service charge for abortions. I am not paying it. I guess I'm going to jail. You guys, it is getting ugly, and it is getting scary. You know, we're talking about, for me, matters of the soul, okay? And, you know, you can take my life, but you can't have my soul. I'm sorry. Sorry. Going to have to draw the line in the sand there, regime. Going to have to draw the line in the sand there. Now, some people say, that's crazy. Why would you do that? I mean, God knows you don't. God knows that you're not for that. God doesn't want you to go to jail. He doesn't. He doesn't. I understand God doesn't want bad things to happen to me, but does anybody recall anything from like the first 4 centuries of Christianity? Most of them were killed. Okay? Martyrs. The Roman martyrology. Go read it. We had 4 centuries of just complete debauchery of Christians in this world. And you know what? What comes around goes around usually, okay? I mean, history repeats itself. I feel it coming on. Now, am I crazy? Maybe. Maybe I am. I don't know. But I'm not feeling really well loved and liked in this country. I mean, it's crazy. The rule of law is gone. I've said this on this program. I'm going to say it again. Fast and Furious, Benghazi, John Corzine, okay? The stuff that's gone on in the Middle East, not speaking up against any genocide in Egypt or any of those countries of Christians. The way our media operates, the election fraud. Is there rule of law in this country anymore? Is there any accountability in this? Is this the United States of America, or it is not anymore? I don't recognize it. Now, I know this is unpleasant things to talk about right before Christmas, but you know what? There is peace. What is peace? What is peace? Does peace mean that you have no strife in your life? No, that's not what peace is. Does peace mean that, you're like listening to really soft music and you've got $20 million in the bank? No. That may be a form of peace, but if you're talking about pox, from Christ, the peace of Christ, it's not that. It means that you're in friendship with Christ. It's not broken. Your relationship is intact with Christ, whether you're sitting in a jail cell or about to be crucified to a cross. That is true peace. Anything else, forget it. It's fleeting. It's going to be gone. We all are in the last days, don't you know? Yes, we are all in our last days. There's a time limit on us here. She sums up her presentation, knowing this could be her last presentation, like this.
If that's what it takes to get people to wake up to the reality of what their ends are, if this is what it takes to get people to heaven, then thank God all of this is happening. If people are going to be made saints, that is, people are going to attain the beatific vision in heaven purely because of all of this, then thanks be to God. Thanks be to God that I'm in this position. Thanks be to God that the IRS has seized my bank accounts. Thanks be to God that I've lost my business. Thanks be to God that I'm probably going to end up living in my vehicle. Thanks be to God. If that's what He has to do to get me to heaven, thanks be to God. And if that's what He has to do to get you to heaven and to get this culture back on the right track somehow so that your great-great-grandchildren aren't living under Marxist Islamic despotism, then thanks be to God.
Wow. Couldn't have said it better myself. I know you guys are all adults out there, and I know that if you've been alive more than 20 years and you've come under some situations in your life that are hardcore, and if you haven't, well, you will, okay? And if you haven't, I kind of question that. Okay, just being alive, there are times that are just difficult and hard and sad and wrong. And so many people always question that. Well, why? Why would God allow this? Why would God? Sometimes that's what it takes, because the ultimate thing is not to have, the 4,000 square foot house with the granite countertops, or, the 2 boats in the garage, or, the big fat pension. All of that is nothing. Nothing. Because you know what? The only thing that matters is your soul. So what if you gained all that? So what? In fact, those things will make it more difficult for you to really see clearly what is important. It is only in times of strife and difficulty, when you're barely hanging on. When you're barely hanging on. I don't know about you, but when I've been in that place, there's only one thing to do, and that is to turn to God. Because, if things were really good and nothing bad was happening with your life, would you ever really turn to God? Why would you? I mean, we're human. It's human nature. That doesn't mean you wouldn't believe in God. But to turn to him and to rely on him for everything, to say, I'm going to turn my life over to divine providence. What happens, happens. I know what God expects of me in this situation. I know what to do. I don't know how it's going to turn out. This may be really bad for me, but I know it's what I have to do. Then do it, and you will be at peace. I promise you. It's when we're conflicted. It's when we're on the fence on things. It's when we know what is right, but we just can't do it because it's scary. It's scary. What do you mean go to jail? What do you mean go to jail? What do you mean not pay my taxes? Are you nuts? I can't. I won't be able to at that point. Do you understand? I won't be able to. I know this will be news to my husband when he gets home. We've kind of discussed it, but I've been really thinking about it, and I didn't know that was. Well, I knew it was going to come down, you know, and I've been getting emails from friends and stuff about it. And then I had listened to Ann Barnhart because I know she's a seriously crazy Catholic woman, and I'm like, well, what does she have to say about it? And, oh, she's already done something about it. Oh, she already stopped paying her taxes. Oh, she's already selling her stuff. Wow. Now, yes, people say, well, she's single and she doesn't have kids and all that, so she can do that. Well, you know what? But when it comes right down to it, if you understand that it's your soul, then you got to do what you got to do. I mean, you can't be on both sides of the fence. You just can't, you know. It may not be your thing. It may not be your Waterloo. It's mine. I'm sorry. You know, it is what it is. Now, one other thing that I want you guys to listen to, and you guys can call in if you want. Feel free to call in, and if you don't want to talk about this, talk about something else, you know, 626-226-1464. You guys remember, and I'm sure that you heard, where is it now? Where is it? Okay. I'm sure you guys heard about this guy. This guy infiltrated, I'm sure you've heard this clip, but I want to play it again. The guy that infiltrated the weathermen, you know, the Bill Ayers people, remember? And all of those people, you know, Bill Ayers is you know, one of the main people for Obama. You know, he wrote the book Dreams from My Father. I don't know. It's a toss-up between him and Frank Marshall Davis, who the real father is. I'm just being funny. No, Frank Marshall Davis and Obama kind of do look alike. Anyways, I just want a refresher course for those of you who are listening to this program and think she's crazy. No, I'm not crazy. You have to hear this again to get it through your thick skulls of who we're dealing with. I agree with Ann Barnhart. It is a fait accompli. It is over with as far as the government, meaning they've taken it over. Have they not? I mean, can I go through the list of stuff again that goes on in this country right under our noses, and there's not a damn thing we can do about it? Let's recall their mentality. Let's remember what their objective is. Here's this guy, Larry, I can't remember his last name, Grathall, something like that, who infiltrated the Bill Ayers group that went around bombing things. All of these people, these were just not crazy hippies. These were all, they all had degrees from Ivy League colleges and such. Columbia, ring a bell? Yeah. And do you really think when somebody is so hardcore like these people were, that this is not still who they are and what they want to do? Now listen to what he says in this interview from back in the 1980s and seriously think about your country and how it's run and the things that have happened in the last 3 years.
I brought up the subject of what's going to happen after we take over the government. You know, we become responsible then for administrating 250 million people. And there was no answers. No one had given any thought to economics. How are you going to clothe and feed these people? The only thing that I could get was that they expected that the Cubans and the North Vietnamese and the Chinese and the Russians would all want to occupy different portions of the United States. They also believed that their immediate responsibility would be to protect against what they called the counter-revolution. And they felt that this counter-revolution could best be guarded against by creating and establishing re-education centers in the Southwest, where we would take all the people who needed to be re-educated into the new way of thinking and teach them how things were going to be. I asked, well, what is going to happen to those people that we can't re-educate, that are die-hard capitalists? And the reply was that they'd have to be eliminated. And when I pursued this further, they estimated that they would have to eliminate 25 million people in these re-education centers. And when I say eliminate, I mean kill. 25 million people. I want you to imagine sitting in a room with 25 people, most of which have graduate degrees from Columbia and other well-known educational centers, and hear them figuring out the logistics for the elimination of 25 million people. And they were dead serious.
They were dead serious, and I think they still are dead serious. I mean, do I think they're going to round us all up now? No, but they are doing things like what they did with the Catholic Church and stuff to pit us to the point where people are now going to start going to jail. I mean, she's the first one I know about that is going to go to jail over this. So here we go. I do think that the day is coming when all of us will have to, and I mean very soon, I think very soon, where we're going to have to sit down and think clearly about, is our country a free country? Do we have liberty in this country? Do we have freedom of religion in this country? Or are we living under a Marxist regime? I believe that we are living under a Marxist regime. I believe, as Ann Barnhart does, that if you look at the sum total of what they've implemented, if you know the history of Barack Obama, if you understand what a big deal it was for him to go up against the Catholic Church and to do it, you know, when he did it, I thought, what is he doing? Why is he doing this right before the election? This is a stupid move in my mind. He didn't care. You know why? Because come hell or high water, this is what his cabal needs to implement. They need to kill our souls. And no, he didn't go after the big Protestant mega churches with the rock and roll bands where everybody thinks they're getting raptured out of here. If you think you're getting raptured out of here, you're crazy. It's not biblical, okay? I'm sorry to have to burst that rapture bubble. Study hit. You know what? Even if you think that some of those, what is it? The one in Thessalonians or something that you guys turn to and say, oh, well, you know what? One will be in the field and then one will be taken and all that. You know what? Do some research on that, okay? I don't have time to go into it now, but I have time to say this that's going to make a lot more sense. In the history, the 2,000-year history of the church, when has any Christian been spared? In fact, the closer you are to God, the more you're probably going to suffer, the more He is going to put you in a position where you will probably be martyred. The more, don't you see? Take up your cross and follow me in this world. This isn't heaven, you rapturites. Get it through your thick skull, because when things start to go down and Christians start getting arrested, or people start going to jail because they're not paying their taxes, because they're standing up against this neo-Stalinist regime, you're going to go, wait a minute, aren't we all supposed to be getting raptured out of here? How can these Christians be suffering? Well, we just must not be saved. Is that it? We just must not be saved if we're not getting raptured out of here. Look, the bench is thin enough without having the crazy Christians that think they're getting raptured out of here that are going to be all like perplexed and verklempt when stuff starts going down. And you're looking up in the sky like a bunch of idiots thinking you're gonna be caught up in the air with the Lord. No, that is not how it happens. When's your judgment then? When's the judgment for you then? Please wake up. We need you on our team. Okay, please wake up. I think we have a caller.
Yeah, actually, I just didn't feel like reloading the chat page, and chat audio had crapped up. But yeah, if you want my take, I'm just tired of this blatant, because remember they started off being sneaky about it.
Yeah.
You know, they're making snide comments about Billy Graham. Well, those didn't stick, so they waited until Jim Baker came along and Jerry Falwell, and the list goes on and and on and on and on. And it's really kind of sad because, yeah, each one of those people are human. Each one of those people had failings, other than Billy Graham, of course. And well, come on.
No, I love him. No, he's not on the same book as them, obviously.
No, he's not. And it's kind of the same way with Billy Sunday. Billy Sunday, everything that was brought up about him later on was just trumped up. And they couldn't even find anything to really trump up about Billy Graham or Franklin Graham, for that matter. You know, in his case, the apple didn't fall very far from the tree.
That's right.
Yet they tried to go out of their way with Cardinal O'Reilly and all the rest of these guys and try to vilify them to the max. And they're even doing that to Father Jonathan Morris.
They are. Yep.
Which is kind of sad. He had that piece the other day where he was talking about oh gosh, I can't remember that kid's name now. His daughter was killed at Newtown.
Okay,
and, it was really kind of sad because they started jumping all over him because of what he had stated. Robbie Parker.
Right.
They were getting all over him because he backed Robbie Parker's tactic of being a forgiving person, because why? That's his choice.
Yes.
We all have freedom of choice.
Right.
And now they're jumping. Hey, Father Jonathan Morris is the guy who stepped into Father Mike Judge's shoes after he was killed. The homeless outreach that Father Mike did in New York City was phenomenal. And people just didn't understand that. And let me clarify for people out there who Father Michael Judge was. He was toe tag number 0001 at the World Trade Center. He was the first body recovered after Tower 2 collapsed, because he died after a subsequent heart attack after being struck on the head inside the downstairs lobby portion of Tower 1 when part of the portus collapsed.
Wow.
Now, here's a guy who was not only the chaplain to the FDNY, but he lived his calling. Yes, he was gay, but he was a celibate gay.
Right.
And people always wanted to do that. In the case of Father Jonathan Morris, he immediately picked up that mantle after Father Father Judge was taken from us, and he picked up a homeless outreach. The money that he gets from Fox News, and that's where a lot of people vilify him right away because he's a participator of Fox News.
Right.
He takes all of that and he donates it directly to the homeless outreach.
Right.
The 5 boroughs homeless outreach, and that's he's already getting a paycheck from the church. He doesn't need the extra.
Right.
And that's what he says all the time because he teases Bill Schultz about it all the time on Red Eye. And he says, I don't need this money. I just give it to the homeless outreach. And Bill will turn around and say, well, why don't you just go ahead and give it to me? You got to come by the homeless outreach for it to get distributed.
Wow.
But I'm really
I didn't know that story about the Father Judge. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. In fact, if anybody's ever watched the Jules and Gideon Naudet documentary 9/11, they'll get to see how important Father Judge was. It's in the DVD special edition.
Yeah.
It's really very quite telling because Father Judge was the gentleman that you saw in the white FDNY hat that was pacing back and forth, and you thought he was just mumbling to himself, but he was saying prayers.
Right. So did you know that you know who Ann Barnhart is, right?
Yes.
Well, I guess she's going to be going to jail soon. So,
which I think is a shame. I really do.
Yeah, I do too. In fact, they said that you know how the IRS is. I mean, most of us kind of know. You don't pay your taxes. They're going to eventually come after you, but usually it's like, certified letters, months go by. Not in her case, apparently.
Nope. Do pass go. Do not collect $200.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're rabid about it.
Yeah, they are.
And this is the kind of a weird, wonky thing about it. And I tell you, Becky, it just boggles the brain because why? She's in a public forum.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, she was telling folks how they could
get to her house,
get away with it.
Yeah, she was.
And it's very true, because I did catch one portion where she talked about all you have to do is get your passport in order, have a satchel full of euros, because it's okay to leave the U.S. with a satchel full of euros, apparently, or a bearer bond.
Right.
And deposit them at your, book a flight to Cook Islands, go to one of your local Cook Islands trust or wherever, and walk in with the satchel and make a deposit and set yourself up what's called what is that called? It's where you send yourself, basically, you set up a shell corporation and send yourself money every month because it's in a non-interest-bearing checking account.
Right.
Because you're not making money off of it. It's money that you already had.
Right, exactly.
And it's a great way to prevent, that what's called the Vegas double dip.
Right.
Anybody who wins at the Stardust or the Bellagio or wherever, you get double dipped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you do.
Sometimes triple dipped by the IRS.
Oh.
Well, the double dip is something you can't avoid, but you can avoid the triple dip by simply depositing it in an offshore account, non-interest bearing, and send a stipend. That's what it's called. And send yourself a stipend every month.
Right.
And you can live off of that.
Right.
And they can't say jack boo about it because it's within the realms of the law of where? The country that you deposited.
Yep. She just got back. She went to, I just read her blog, she went to Rome, and she didn't know if she was going to be able to get on the plane, she said, because she didn't know if she'd be on the no-fly list or not. She wasn't. She was shocked because she also thought that maybe they would think that she would be leaving the country and not returning also,
Why, because she was going to be going to the Vatican, which is a city-state?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
So
with a non-extradition treaty, by the
way. Right. And then she went there because she said she is anticipating going to jail, and she had never been there, and she just felt that was the one place she wanted to go. So
did she ever get a meeting with the Cardinal of the Curia?
I don't know.
Like she had originally wanted to?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll have to look into that. But
it would have been so cool if she could have met him.
Yeah, I know. You know, she did.
You know, that's what the Holy Father's job used to be.
Yes.
Keeping all them wayward priests in line.
Yes. That's right.
Only stuff was kept him.
Yes. Yes.
He was mighty upset.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway, she did think about not coming back. She said, you know, not seriously, but it crossed her mind, you know, because it would have been so easy, you know, just not to come back and face that.
Oh, come on.
What?
If she would have been on the no-fly list, there's more than one way to get out of this country, you know.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true.
You know.
All right. Well, thank you for
there's
calling.
lots of different ways.
Yes, and in fact, when I have to get out of the country fast, I'm going to call you, so you can get me out. No,
I won't be the one getting you out, but I will make phone calls and emails on your behalf.
On my behalf. I appreciate that.
We'll make sure that I spell it correctly. Rebecc.
Yes, I appreciate that, and I will appreciate that.
Well, when they come to see me later on about it, I'll be like, hey, all I did was facilitated.
That's right.
The broker. Leave me alone.
That's right. All right. Well, how are you doing anyways, all right? How's your show? I've been listening to it in archives. Really, really good.
Yeah,
really
you don't come by, you don't write, you don't call.
Oh, I will. I promise.
Oh, you support me in your heart. Thank you.
Of course I do.
In fact, I actually played a little bit of Father Jonathan by mistake tonight. Yeah, I was actually saving that clip for Sunday night because Sunday night's going to be a partial part 2 leading into Obamacare because Father Jonathan had some interesting things to say about it a few months back on Red Eye.
All right, cool. Well, tell everyone what time Sunday night. What time Sunday night?
It'll be Still Flying Over the Heartland. It's going to be at 9 o'clock on Sunday night. It's going to be me and possibly Duggum.
Okay.
And hopefully Kel from the Red Fox, a.k.a. East Anglian ZDL, and also the Invisible Conservative, Thomas, will be helping me out.
Oh, awesome. All right. Well, we will
so it'll be like a triumvirate.
Yes. It will be.
Or a not so evil triumvirate, depending on how you look.
Right. Well, that was Eric from Flyover Territory. I appreciated his call. I think I'm going to call it a night tonight. I have been fighting this cold and flu, and I am exhausted and tired. And never fear, we have a show tomorrow night, Saturday nights with Steve and Rebecca. I am Rebecca, and I will be there to entertain you. Hopefully you'll have a few laughs with us, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here back on the Fidelis Radio Network. Also, following my show, we have a big shoe for you. Our Forward Boldly with Christine Niles. Welcome Stephen Mosier. And that is a staff pick on Blogtalk Radio for tomorrow. So you're not going to want to miss that either. And that is following our 9 p.m. show. That will start at 10 p.m. Eastern. Same bat channel, same bat dial on the Fidelis Radio Network. So for Rebecca Diserio, that's me. And for the Fidelis Radio Network, that's my people. Good night.